During the Vietnam War, it is estimated that 90% of American deaths were caused by booby traps. Think about that. One soldier in 10 killed by the very ground they walked on. For them, every step was a life or death calculation. A world of sharpened, punji sticks hidden in pits, waiting silently under a thin layer of leaves. This fear, the fear of where you place your foot, is burned into the mind of every combat soldier. But this isn't a story about the jungle. This is about the snow. Pure, white, a blank page where every single movement is recorded for the world to see. And it's here, in the quiet cold of the Eastern Front or the forests of Finland, that you find a story whispered among veterans. A story that makes no tactical sense at all. The legend says that some of the most experienced soldiers would sometimes stop, stare at a line of footprints ahead of them, and refuse to follow. They would choose the crushing exhaustion of breaking their own trail through deep snow over stepping into the tracks of the man just feet ahead. Why? The official doctrine is clear. Former U.S. Army Sergeant Alan Leggett, who served from Tuti Size Chef to Tuti Size Dine, confirms it. Moving in single file hides your numbers. It's the fastest way to march. It's easier for a commander to control. And in deep snow, walking in another's tracks saves precious, life-giving energy. Soldiers take turns breaking the trail for this very reason. It's a simple, logical system. So what did these veterans see that others didn't? The official manuals say nothing. The histories are silent. It's a ghost in the tactical playbook. To understand the cold, you must understand the Finland of 1939. Here, the legendary sniper, Simo Häyhä, the White Death, used the snow as his camouflage and his shield. Author Olivier Norek described the fighting there. The cold doesn't just make you shake, it attacks you. You can't protect yourself. You can't think. In that kind of cold, every calorie counts. Every ounce of saved energy is another minute you stay alive. Choosing to wade through waist-deep snow instead of taking an easy path is suicide. Unless the easy path is somehow more dangerous. It's a paradox. A soldier's training screams to conserve energy and follow the formation. But some personal, unspoken rule told them to stop, to break the line, to choose hardship over the path already laid. The footprints in the snow were supposed to hide one secret: the number of men who passed. But for some, they held a second, more terrifying secret. One that made them turn away from their comrades and walk alone. So, what knowledge, what fear, could be powerful enough to override years of training, tactical logic, and the simple, desperate instinct for survival? That question, the one about overriding survival instincts, leads us down a different path. It's not about the enemy you can see, but the enemy you can't. Think back to the Vietnam War. The Viet Cong used booby traps with terrifying effectiveness. Sharpened punji sticks, hidden in pits, waited for an unwary foot. This created an invisible battlefield. It is estimated that 90% of American deaths in that conflict, and 15% of their wounds, came from these hidden dangers. This statistic changes how you perceive every step. You see, a soldier might refuse to follow a path, not because of what he knows, but because of what he suspects. What if those footprints, so neatly laid out, were not simply a way to save energy? What if they were an invitation to disaster? Imagine the sheer psychological weight of that. Every single boot print could conceal a deadly secret. You are trained to trust your comrades, to move as one. But what if that trust could lead you to a hidden trap? This is the core of the dilemma. The official military doctrine, as confirmed by former U.S. Army Sergeant Alan Leggett, who served from Tuti Size Chefter to Tuti Size Den, emphasizes moving in single file in snow to hide numbers. It's a fundamental tactic, but what if the very act of following that tactic put you in greater peril? This is where the story diverges. We know that walking in another person's tracks in deep snow conserves energy. It is a simple, undeniable truth of survival in extreme cold. Soldiers will take turns breaking the trail, a shared burden that lightens the load for all. So, if energy conservation is paramount, why would a veteran, hardened by combat, choose the exhausting path? Perhaps the veteran was not refusing to follow the path of a comrade, but refusing to follow the path of an enemy. This is a subtle distinction, yet it changes everything. What if the footsteps were too perfect, too deliberate? A lure, a trap. The cold doesn't just make you shake, it attacks you. This was the stark reality for soldiers on the Eastern Front during World War II, a brutal theater of war. Günter K. Koschorek, a German soldier who kept a secret diary during his service, wrote of the countless anonymous soldiers who spent most of their war in filthy foxholes. He described them relinquishing those foxholes only when they needed to engage the enemy directly, whether it be in summer, in the boiling hot sun during the rains, in knee-deep mud, or in a winter blizzard with the ground frozen hard or covered in deep snow. This tells you something about the conditions, the sheer, unyielding struggle against the elements. In such a world, every decision is amplified. Every choice carries immense weight. The idea that a soldier would actively choose a more difficult route suggests a profound reason. A reason that outweighed the immediate physical cost. Could it be a form of intuitive knowledge, born from countless close calls and near misses? A sixth sense for danger that bypasses logic? Zen master Basho once wrote, "Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the wise. Seek what they sought. Seek the meaning behind their footsteps, and not upon the steps themselves." This proverb, though ancient and philosophical, holds a chilling resonance here. It speaks to looking beyond the surface, to understanding the underlying intent. If a veteran refused to follow footsteps, were they not seeking what the wise sought? Were they not trying to understand the meaning behind those steps? This isn't about superstition. This is about survival. It's about a deep, often unspoken, understanding of the battlefield. The snow, so pristine, becomes a canvas for unspoken warnings. For some, those footprints were not just depressions in the snow. They were questions, unanswered questions about what lay ahead. What kind of wisdom, what kind of fear would lead a soldier to defy common sense and the very instinct for self-preservation, simply by choosing not to follow those unanswered questions about what lay ahead? What kind of wisdom or fear could drive such a defiance? The answers might not be found in military manuals, but in the chilling reality of an unseen enemy. Think about the Vietnam War. An estimated 11% of American deaths were caused by booby traps. This isn't just a statistic. It's a terrifying truth. You see, the enemy wasn't always a soldier with a rifle. Sometimes, the ground itself was the weapon. The Viet Cong used punyi sticks, razor-sharp bamboo hidden in pits. They were everywhere. Every step became a gamble. What if those footprints in the snow, so innocent-looking, were not just a path? What if they were a lure? A deliberate trap designed to channel you into a killing zone. This is where the simple act of following becomes a profound act of trust or distrust. A soldier's instinct for self-preservation overrides everything else. It tells them to conserve energy, to follow the path of least resistance. Yet, some veterans refused. They chose the arduous task of breaking their own trail. Why? What could compel them to exert such energy in a place where every calorie mattered? Remember the Eastern Front during World War II. German soldier Günter K. Koschorek, in his secret diary, described countless anonymous soldiers spending most of their war in filthy foxholes. They relinquished these only to engage the enemy directly, whether in scorching heat or in a winter blizzard, with ground frozen hard or covered in deep snow. This was a war against both man and nature. In such brutal conditions, every decision was amplified. Every choice carried immense weight. The idea that a soldier would actively choose a more difficult route suggests a profound reason. A reason that outweighed the immediate physical cost. This is not about superstition. This is about survival. It's about a deep, often unspoken understanding of the battlefield. The snow, so pristine, becomes a canvas for unspoken warnings. For some, those footprints were not just depressions in the snow. They were questions. Unanswered questions about what lay ahead. What kind of wisdom, what kind of fear, would lead a soldier to defy common sense and the very instinct for self-preservation simply by choosing not to follow. This isn't just about avoiding a trap. It's about a profound psychological battle. You are trained to trust your comrades, to move as one. But what if that trust could lead you to a hidden danger? What if the enemy wasn't just hiding, but actively guiding you to your doom? This suspicion, this constant vigilance, changes everything. It turns the seemingly harmless act of following footsteps into a high-stakes decision. The US Army, for instance, advises soldiers to maintain enough space between them in a single file line. Why? So that one bullet does not kill two people. This small detail reveals the constant threat. The constant awareness that even your closest comrade might inadvertently expose you to danger. It's a brutal calculation. Imagine the cold, the exhaustion, the fear. Then imagine seeing a perfectly laid set of footprints. Your mind screams for the relief of an easier path, but a deeper instinct whispers a warning. A warning born from countless close calls. From the silent lessons learned in the frozen wastes of Finland, where Simo Heihe, the legendary sniper, stalked his prey. Or in the endless, brutal expanse of the Eastern Front. These veterans had seen too much. They had survived too many impossible situations. Their intuition, honed by the very ground they fought on, became their most powerful weapon. It allowed them to see beyond the obvious, to sense the hidden threat. The footprints were a story told by the one who made them. And sometimes, that story was a lie. A deadly, silent lie buried in the snow. It forces you to question everything, to doubt the very path laid out before you, to choose hardship, to choose isolation, to choose life. What kind of wisdom, what kind of fear would lead a soldier to defy common sense and the very instinct for self-preservation, simply by choosing not to follow? This isn't just a tactical decision. It's a profound act of defiance against an invisible enemy. And it leaves you wondering, what other silent warnings does the ground itself whisper to those who truly listen? What other silent warnings does the ground itself whisper to those who truly listen? For some, these whispers were not just tactical considerations. They were deeply personal. Imagine the silence of a winter forest, broken only by the crunch of your boots on pristine snow. Every breath freezes. Every sound is amplified. Now, picture a line of footprints, stretching ahead into that silence. You are tired. You are cold. Your training tells you to follow, to conserve precious energy. But something stops you. A flicker of doubt. A memory. A feeling born from countless moments of terror. This isn't about military doctrine anymore. This is about the individual soldier, standing at a crossroads in the snow, making a decision that could mean life or death. Think about it. The human mind, under extreme duress, develops an almost supernatural sensitivity. A veteran, hardened by combat on the Eastern Front, where German soldier Gunther K. Koskorek documented the relentless struggle against nature itself, learns to read the subtle cues of danger. The snow, for them, becomes a living map. And those footprints? They tell a story. But whose story? This intuitive knowledge, this sixth sense for danger, is not taught in basic training. It is forged in the crucible of battle. It is the unspoken wisdom of those who have faced death again and again. You are not just looking at depressions in the snow. You are seeing the echo of a presence, the rhythm of a step, the weight of a body. And sometimes, that echo feels wrong. It feels unnatural. It feels like a threat. Consider the words of Zen Master Basho. Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of the wise. Seek what they sought. Seek the meaning behind their footsteps, and not upon the steps themselves. This isn't just ancient poetry. It's a profound instruction for survival. It asks you to look beyond the obvious, to question the surface, to understand the intent. If those footsteps were laid by an enemy, designed to lead you into an ambush, then following them is not wisdom. It is folly. This is why some veterans, against all logic, against all training, would break formation. They would choose the agonizing effort of breaking their own trail through deep snow. Their hands would ache, their lungs would burn, but they would do it. Because the alternative was a silent, unknown terror. They had learned to trust their gut more than any map or command. In the Finnish Winter War of 1939, where soldiers like Simo Häyhä became legends, the conditions were brutal. Olivier Norek, author of The Winter Warriors, described the cold as an attack. You can't protect yourself, you can't think. In such an environment, energy conservation is paramount. Yet, these veterans chose to expend more. Why? Because the cost of not listening to that inner warning was far greater than any physical exertion. It was the cost of life itself. This profound act of defiance, this refusal to follow, is not a sign of insubordination. It is a testament to the brutal personal education of war. It shows you the immense psychological toll. It reveals the silent battles fought within a soldier's mind. The footprints in the snow become a mirror. They reflect not just the path taken, but the fears and instincts of the one who contemplates following. What kind of fear, what kind of wisdom would lead a soldier to defy common sense and the very instinct for self-preservation, simply by choosing not to follow? This isn't just about avoiding a trap. It's about a profound psychological battle. The ground itself whispers warnings. And for those who have seen too much, those whispers are impossible to ignore. It leaves you with a chilling question. What unseen forces, what unquantifiable dangers do we ignore when we blindly follow the paths laid out for us? That question. What unseen dangers do we ignore when we blindly follow the paths laid out for us? It echoes far beyond the snows of the Eastern Front. It is a question for all of us in our own lives. Which footprints do you choose to follow? And which do you decide to leave behind? Here is the part that is never spoken of in the war stories. After all the research, after sifting through archives and diaries,